and welcome back to Let's Talk Sarcoidosis. I'm your host, Dorothea Howard, and alongside of me is my co-host, Richard Hanna. How are you today, Rich?
Hi, Dorothea. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to have you back again. And we have my popular demand.
Wow.
Well, you know, we're welcoming back Mrs. Nichole Ruffin, who is a licensed massage therapist, and she's the owner of Care Essence Therapeutic Massage.
Yes.
So welcome back.
Welcome
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Yes. Welcome. We definitely love you to be here today. We have some things that we really want to talk about, and we don't do this often,
Okay.
and we don't do it often in our personal lives, but we've all felt that it was very important to talk about investing in ourselves.
Right.
Something that we don't do much of.
Okay.
You know, we're always caretakers for everyone else, and you know, we can be ill, or even if we're not ill, we have busy lives, and we just need to take a breath and do some things nice for us.
Sure.
So, you know, just with that topic, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's a great idea. I'm in a fortunate opportunity to work on people who are taking care of themselves by coming in to receive massages and things, and I'm able to, I have the privilege of being able to provide the care for them. However, it's me. I have to think about how am I taking care of myself. And I was sharing with you before that I'm still considered a newlywed. I'm 2 years into my marriage, and my husband had took ill last year. He had 2 brain surgeries, and so during that time, I became a CEO of my company. I went from being a girlfriend to a wife, a caregiver, and I had to take on the role of the head of the household while he was dealing with his recovery. And so during that time, I wasn't able to check in with myself like I needed to, which was really important. And then once my husband became better and he began to recover, the roles switched again, and now he's back into head of the household. And we never had an opportunity to revisit or recharge what that shift was like. And so now I've become the obsessive wife, making sure that he's still okay, and you know, having to step back and allow him to, you know, just get back into his position or get back into his role. It's been challenging. So what we do is we keep the lines of communication open and speak effectively about, you know, what our needs are or what the shift should look like.
And since you've been on the show last, Nichole, let's tell everybody some of the things that's happened since you've been on a show last.
Well, I've because of the show, and I feel like I'm a celebrity of somewhat. You know, people will say, "Oh, I've seen you on television," which is really exciting. I'm like, "Oh, when does it air? I haven't seen it. I've seen the audio and I've seen it on YouTube." And I have sort of shifted my roles as a massage therapist, so I'm still doing that work, but I will start working soon, very soon, with hospice patients in their homes and offering care to the patients as well as their family members. And then I'm also going to increase some of my presence with people who have disabilities of all sorts or whatever, and I'll be going into the homes with them as well. I've also had an opportunity to present my business on a competition, which was sort of like a
like
the TV show where you're doing the pitch or whatever on a local level. And I came in second place, but the experience was awesome. It was, thank you so much. It was awesome. I was a little nervous or whatever, but with being on your show and being in front of the camera a few times, it has really helped me with my presentation. And during that presentation, it also let me know that I needed to shift my model a little bit. So I'm not in the office as free. I still have staff in the office, but I'm presently not in the office as frequently because I'm going out to corporate offices and offering chair massages to companies to help with improving their staff productivity and rejuvenation and focus and clarity and things like that. So we're offering chair massages there, and it's been really fun.
Well, you know, and that's the part of investing in themselves. That's the prime example of employers investing in their employees.
Yes.
Because then they can be more productive and, you know, feel better about themselves and come in as a happy employee every day. So I know you also mentioned that sometimes you have couples or, you know, marriage couples or relationship, people that are in relationships, I'm sorry, that had mentioned to you about different challenges that they face.
So what happens as a massage therapist, I'm a touch therapist, but there's also a lot of listening and required to do the work that we do. So we listen to the muscles and find out where the area of tension and stress is, but we also get an opportunity to listen to our clients. And sometimes, unfortunately, the information that they're sharing, they're going through something. They're frustrated, they're stressed out, and so that's why they come. And what I have really been tuned into or attracted to in what I'm hearing is people who are experiencing stress in their marriage.
Right.
And so one of the ones that sort of stuck out to me is a couple that was celebrating their 26-year anniversary.
Wow.
And the husband brought the wife in for a massage as his gift to her. And so she doesn't have a gift for him. She wasn't interested in purchasing anything for him, and that's not her thing. But in 26 years, I was like, wow, you know, and when I asked her, you know, what kind of things does he like to do, what kind of things does he liked, I would think she would have a long list.
Right.
She couldn't think of anything.
Wow.
And so, you know, having been married only 2 years, I have a rather nice gift for my husband, and he has one for me. I asked him. I did ask him. I was like,
you
made
what
sure,
kind of
right? So I like, and he was right on.
Okay.
But in 26 years, what happens? I mean, because I'm sure that my list will change over time. And so I was just like, you know, why is that? And I'm sure she's not the only one. She's the only one that I talk to. But I was just like, what's going on that creates a shift that being with the same person, loving the same person for 26 years, and you don't have any information on them?
Yeah, that's a problem.
That is.
You know.
Well, it seems like a lot goes on. You know, it's a long time.
Yeah.
And it was ironic that you said you were doing the therapy with the touch.
Yes.
But people tend to lose that connection or lose touch.
That's right.
And when they're not in touch anymore, it's like they're not talking or communicating.
Absolutely.
So of course that list can get shorter because it gets filled by the other list of the reason why I'm not talking to you.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And now has that person come back for more massages, or was it one time only?
This was relatively recent, so it's too
recent.
soon to tell. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're probably coming back.
No, because what like when you see a situation like that, like are there any other alternatives that would benefit that couple or someone that might be going through that situation?
Yeah. So one of the things is like rediscovering what the interests are, because I'm sure, you know, their interests when they were younger has changed or whatever. I don't know if they both like to experience touch, you know, but just sort of exploring what new things they like, you know. My husband and I, we don't like all of the same things, but one of the things that we're willing to do is to share or join in that experience of what the other likes to do. My husband likes football, which was not a very strong suit of mine. Unfortunately, Washington Redskins is DC is a football town, but it wasn't really my area of interest. But I got engaged in it because it excites him, so I share in that with him, you know what I mean? And I'm thankful when he can spend the time with his buddies and go spend a boys' night out. But I can stay in the conversation. I know what's going on. I paid attention to the draft and things like that or whatever. So, you know, just being willing to be open to trying new things. And so even if the football wasn't our connection, maybe something else could be our connection,
No, that's true, because I know, especially when you have an illness, and even if people don't have an illness, the reconnection, I think the problem is today is technology. You know, back in the day, we can all sit here and say, We didn't have cell phones.
Yes.
You know, we didn't have the computers, well, the laptop and all this other
We
technology.
didn't have 1,000 channels.
Right, we didn't have all these channels. You had 3 or 4 channels that you watch, and you really had to spend time
Exactly.
together. So it is nice to try to bring those days back, because now I can remember times when I would be in a restaurant and sitting in the restaurant, I'm watching other couples, and they're the whole time they're there supposed to be
Texting.
on a date, and they're texting.
Exactly.
And I'm thinking to myself, how in the world are they having a conversation with each other when one person is looking down the entire time?
Exactly.
So the reconnection, and that's where you and I had done a lot of talking about, because we had people that would talk to us about things, and then like you say, in our own relationships, that we knew that, hey, let's try to help couples. I mean, we
Exactly.
can't help everybody.
That's right.
Exactly.
But, you know, that's why you and I kind of said, well, let's put something together and maybe having a retreat. Retreats are beneficial because they can help couples to reconnect. It can make a couple think about what brought them together in the first place. Even though along the way, and it's not, I would say it's not normal, but sometimes people do get, you know, in a situation that they kind of lose connection between everybody. And that's just something that happens. We're all human. But retreats are great to try to bring it back. And just because you have a retreat on a weekend doesn't mean that it's going to fix the couple
Exactly.
right away. But what it does, just like you just said, is if one person wants the retreat, so the wife wants it and the husband doesn't, if the husband would just kind of get on board like you did, you may not care for football, but you at least try. Sometimes just trying is the first step.
Exactly.
You know, just doing what the other spouse or partner likes, you know, and not being selfish. Well, I don't like that, I'm not doing it.
Exactly.
And so if you start there, that's the connection right there. And then with that, we wanted to make it fun.
Exactly.
You know, we didn't want to have a retreat prison.
Right. No.
We wanted to be able to bring couples together in one place, but also respect their time to be alone as well, and to get that connection back, whether it's just sitting out on the deck and watching the sunset, you know, as a couple, or if it's just coming together and just taking strolls around the property. We have a property that we're going to host a retreat, and we're literally taking over the entire facility because we want it to be a private event.
Exactly.
So couples could feel very comfortable in their setting. And, you know, sometimes people feel like, well, you know, I don't want to do this, or, you know, we don't want to take out funds and do things like that. But I feel like, what is the price to invest in your marriage?
Exactly.
Or invest in your relationship?
Or invest in yourself.
Right.
You know, I think just in the normal routine, people get into a routine of working, raising the children, you know, and then what if you do have an illness or illness in the family? That's even extra stress. And so now you need a retreat more than ever. You need to get away, even if it's just for some mommy daddy time. You need to get away, you know.
Right.
Exactly.
And so
Right.
it's not, you know, but it's because you got to keep that core together, you know. And my parents used to always say, they're going to celebrate their 49th birthday anniversary.
That's
and they used to
wonderful.
say,
You said
that-
49?
Yes, that's awesome.
and they
Yes.
used to always say that.
And I know his parents.
We were
too.
here before the kids, and we're gonna be here after the kids.
I know
That's
that.
right.
You know, and so that's
right.
you got to think about it that way.
Yes.
Because that's why. So it's like when something comes along, you got to take it and do it together, because
Yeah.
those are the memories you're gonna have. And you know, if someone comes out, you know, what would they learn from you? What were some of the things they could learn that they could use right away?
That's a good question.
So you had mentioned initially communication,
Yes.
and I think you mentioned something about the eye contact. Just being able to reconnect or recharge by just taking the time to look into someone's eyes and get an idea or a sense of what emotions that they're experiencing and things like that. We're going to do a few exercises. I'm not going to tell them all right now,
Right.
but what I don't plan to do is stand in front of a crowd and talk to them and give them instructions, because I don't know you, so I can't tell you how to relate to one another.
Right.
But I can share with you some ideas. And the example that I use is, you know, you talked about technology. So a lot of people are engaged in their phones all day long. So you start off at 8 o'clock in the morning with 100%, and sometime midday you have to plug in and recharge.
That's right.
And so that's what this retreat is all about, is just reconnecting, recharging, hitting the reset button. If you're all in, what do you need to do? What do you need to step back and take a look back at and say, what needs to come out? What do we need to do more of? And just, you know, you guys will come up with those ideas yourself. It won't be my responsibility to tell you what to do.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about it. I wish it was next week.
I know. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Next week, tomorrow.
Every week.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, think about, if you could do something like that. And I'm sure there are couples that will do that. And I mean, we have a lot of things that, you know, they can choose from that's available to them. And maybe people might not be used to kayaking or canoeing or, you know, taking the strolls, playing tennis or anything, but they can select that at their leisure.
Yeah.
I'm not having an itinerary that says, this time you do this time you do that.
Exactly.
Well, especially when you're there, but with the exception of the sunrise, you know, not the sunrise, but the sunset cruise.
Yes.
Now that's a certain time. That's a time that you have to be the retreat police, and like this is what you need to do at this time. But it's just things like that, you know, the live entertainment, you know, so they can sit back and relax and think about back in the day when they used to go out, or even now, people need to go out, do things, listen to some music, some jazz, some blues or something, you know, go out and sit back and enjoy your significant other. Because when we say couples, you don't necessarily have to be married.
Exactly.
You know, this is a couples retreat, but whatever the couple situation is, you know, we definitely invite them to be out, because this is definitely something that we want to do annually.
Yes.
And this is something that we want people to say, wow, I am so glad that we took this time to recharge ourselves.
Yes.
Because that's what it's all about. Plugging in. I like that, plug in and recharging. You know.
And I'm looking forward to the testimonies of especially returning couples. You know?
Yes.
What changed from the first year to the second year.
And so, can you share a little bit about, you know, what your last, like you've been married for 2 years, and some of the things you went through, because you're running a business, you're married.
Oh, goodness.
You know, if you can share with us, because I think it helps people, because, you know, people hear about a retreat, but they don't really see any examples of how it really helps somebody.
Okay.
You know.
So I'll keep this brief, but my husband and I, we've been together for 6 years. We've been married for 2.
Okay.
And our experiences were different. My husband grew up as the oldest boy of 2 sisters, and I grew up as an only child. My father remarried, and I have sisters, but in my household, I was the only child. So we bring very different experiences to the relationship, and we're both, he's not bossy, I'm bossy, but he's a warrior and a protector. And so, like I was sharing with Dorothea, you know, there's no such thing as me walking out the door and not telling him where I'm going. And it's not from an authoritative, controlling thing, but it's really from a concern. He also had the benefit or the privilege of seeing successful marriages in his household, his grandparents, his aunts, his uncles. And I grew up in a household with a single mother, and the women in my family were single. And so I was excited about being married, but I didn't know how to act like a wife, or I didn't understand what that looked like. So I just continued to do what I was doing before I got married. And my husband used to say, you know, you're not single anymore. And so having to work through that, keeping those lines of communication open, understanding how we connect, it's a give and give relationship. Sometimes the giving is more on one person's part than another person. Like I said, with my husband being sick, I had to give more, but he's very generous. So when it's his turn to give, I'm willing to, you know, let him give or whatever. But just taking the time to evaluate what our marriage looks like. You know, I can't judge it based on anyone else's. And because I didn't have those roles, I'm sort of creating this as we go. But it's been really fun. And the most important thing, or the most effective thing in our relationship, is the communication.
Right. That's key. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had people talk.
Did you mention to us earlier about that you guys had to reconnect, like after this illness, how you went, the steps you took to reconnect?
Yeah, because like I said, and I'm willing to admit, I am bossy. You know, that's the vicissitudes of being an only child.
But
you know?
I mean, you run a business, so you try to. You gotta.
And so, and in that role, when, like I said, when he started feeling better or whatever, and just being able to not be so overprotective and overguarded, you know, one of the things, my husband walks with a cane, and so he should not go up and down the stairs without his cane, but sometimes he does. And so, you know, we do laundry and things like that, and he wants to use the laundry bag as a cane, and it's not a cane. You should use a cane as a cane. And, you know, having to have that dialogue, and it's like, this is about concern. You know, the same thing with him when I'm going out the door and he wants to know where I'm going. These are concern things, so we have to understand the vulnerability or where we're coming from, and not feeling like, oh, you're just trying to control me, or you're just trying to be bossy. No, this is because I love you, you know, I want you to be around, you know, and so those challenges we've had to talk through, and the understanding, and sometimes those things can be miscommunicated or misunderstood, and so it's okay to kind of walk through it. That's how we understand each other. That's how he knows that I'm concerned and not bossy, you know what I mean, you know, because of having those dialogues.
Wow. And just when you just said the L word, as some people call it, and love, I wonder how many viewers out there actually tell their significant others how much they love them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we see the word and we know the definition of the word, but there are a lot of couples out there that will not use the word. And it's one thing using a word and then your actions are showing something different.
Exactly.
But I feel like if you really truly love someone, your actions will show, but it's still nice to say it. And at the retreat, what I really like that you're going to do, and it's pretty much a challenge, to see how long somebody can sit there and actually look in somebody's eyes and their spouse's eyes for a few minutes or whatever, just to see if they can look without turning away, because you can feel a lot just through eye contact. So that's some of the things that we'll give them. But I feel like with this particular retreat, it's just one of those retreats that you bringing people together.
Yes.
And I like the idea of bringing individuals together. You get to meet fantastic people that you may know or may not know. And I'm pretty sure that you're sharing some of the same challenges, whether it's being sick, for myself having an illness and other people out there having an illness. So it gives you a way to cope without being so uptight.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when we just kind of let our hair down and relax and just get in the moment, that's enough right there to re-energize and recharge yourself. So, I mean, what do you feel about things like that? Have any clients ever mentioned to you about having those opportunities for retreats and kind of recharging their relationships?
Well, that's one of the questions I always ask people. Do they like to travel? Do they get away? And then when was the last time? And then do they do it as a family, and then they do it as adults? Because that's two different things.
Yes.
And so, you know, just like Nichole mentioned how she grew up. Well, my parents always did a family one, and they always did it for the adults.
So did mine.
So that's
Mine
a secret,
did the same
and that's a
thing.
secret to success.
Yes.
So they always had like their little savings set aside. You know, because you could almost see the world for like $100 a month. You know, and so you say, because it save up, and you'd be surprised, you know, how easy it is to just set aside, because it's important, because you're looking at the big picture of your relationship.
Right.
You know.
No, that's true, because I remember growing up, and you know, it was 3 siblings, although I have 4, but 3 siblings in the household. And let me tell you, my parents, they would do their thing, but then they would also make time for family time. And that's how we grew up, just like your family. We knew, okay, it's family time, but then guess what? We did y'all, now it's time to do us. And that's where we slipping away from. You know, we as parents, or we as individuals, we don't give ourselves enough time. We try to conquer the world and do everything for everybody else. And then when it's time for us, we look at it and don't want to, you know, invest in ourselves. And so it's important.
one of the things that I strive for, I actually learned from my pastor, Keith Battle. He mentioned at the beginning of the year that each couple should do a date night once a week. And so that has been our goal, because sometimes people just assume that because they don't have the money to go someplace far, that they can't still do something for one another. Yeah, so I think that's important.
Well, you know, we could probably go on and talk about this because we know we don't have that much time, but I do thank you for coming back and at least giving the viewers a little bit more information about how you will connect with them during the retreat. We encourage everyone to go to the website and look at the credits when its show is over to find out how you can join us for this fabulous weekend. Rich, I'm so glad that you were able to contribute your expertise in our show. And, you know, as I always say, we all have sarcoidosis, but sarcoidosis doesn't have us. Until next time, re-energize yourself, as Nichole and I said, and Rich, and do yourself a favor, hang out with us, and you won't be sorry. Be blessed. Until next time, stay positive.